Hi everybody, welcome back to My Hips Don't Lie with Debora Utley. Today is day 4 of my recovery, and it's been a big day here today. I actually took a shower, and so that was quite the adventure. But my wonderful husband was here to help me do that. And it also made me realize that I haven't really celebrated the amazing hero that he is. I like to make little jokes about him, and it's fun for those of you that know him. But he is super wonderful. He is certainly my hero, and he is the greatest man on the planet. So I thought, since I've made a few jokes about him, I should probably remind everyone, especially him, so that everyone knows that he is the most amazing human on the planet. I always joke with people, but I am married to George Bailey. So for those of you that are It's a Wonderful Life fans, you know exactly what I mean. My husband is the most selfless, wonderful person that walks the planet. And if he were ever in a bind, I know that there would be gazillions of people that would rush to his aid. Because he's helped so many people over many, many years. So I just wanted to give him a big shout out, my George Bailey, for helping me through this process, helping me through life. We've been married for 17 years. 2 years ago, I really put him through the ringer. I needed to have a hysterectomy. I had suffered for many years with endometriosis and finally got to the stage where I couldn't take it anymore. And I was 45, so I knew I was not going to have children at that age. But it was a really scary decision to make. I just wasn't ready to go through that and to close down the shop, if you will. But I had a really bad attack in October of, this would have been 2018, and I had to go to the hospital in the middle of the night, and it was just, that was the last straw for me. I said, okay, that's it, I'm done. I need to get this, I need to do this. So I booked my surgery for the day before Thanksgiving of 2019. Well, for those of you that are football fans, my husband is a head football coach. And if you make it to the state tournament, it's always the Saturday of Thanksgiving weekend. So, of course, they did. And but he was there with me on the day of my surgery. And my aunt came into town to be with me on Thanksgiving Day in the hospital. Because it's my husband's tradition. They have Thanksgiving morning football practice. And he, of course, had to be there for his team and play a game on Saturday while I was recovering. But I really owe him big time for that event 2 years ago, for having a life-changing surgery at the worst possible weekend that I could for him. And he was still a superstar for me. And here we are 2 years later, having another surgery, not quite as major, but a little bit more incapacitating. I think that's a word. And he's been here for every step like a trooper. So I just wanted to send a little love letter to my husband on this video. But like I said, he helped me shower today, so feeling great. Pain is still not awesome today, but I'm trying to flex my independent muscles and trying to do a few things on my own, so that might be causing a little bit more discomfort. Another thing I wanted to point out is that through these videos, I have rediscovered I don't think I would really call it a tic, but I do this weird thing and I make this weird noise with my tongue, right? And I remember bazillion years ago in college, I think it was pointed out to me by a professor, maybe it might have been my speech professor, I can't remember, but I actually went to a few speech therapy sessions on campus to see if I could get rid of this thing that I do. And I don't think I did. And I haven't even thought about it in decades. But as I've watched some of these videos, as I'm editing and getting them ready to post, I notice how often I make that noise with my mouth, and I am mortified. So not only has this helped me have a little video diary of life right now and of this procedure, but it's also brought to my attention this really annoying thing that I do. And nobody has told me about it over the years. So I don't know if all of you have noticed it, but if you've noticed it while you've been watching my videos, I've noticed it too. So I don't know if it's something I'll be able to fix, as apparently it seems an unconscious thing that I do. But it is something that now I am very aware of and is slightly mortifying to me. So for those of you that have noticed, thanks. I've noticed too. So anyway, I'm sure I'll do it 90 more times during today's video, but that's something I'm gonna be more aware of, but I don't know if I can stop it. Anyway, today I thought I would share with you a little bit of my history. Some of you have sent me some questions and have inquired about a few things. So I thought I would start to address those today. Yesterday's video was really long. It was like 20 minutes long. I really don't want to do that. I know how difficult it is to find 20 minutes to watch something, even if you're really interested in it. So I'm gonna not go either quite in depth, or I'm gonna stop and stay tuned for the next time. But I thought I would share a little bit of the beginning of my journey. I talked a little bit about the first apartment that we lived in when I was 3, when my mom remarried. I really don't have many memories before that, but I know my memories kind of start around that age. As I said, my mother is mentally ill. She is paranoid schizophrenic, and then she has many other things. At this stage of her life, she's about to turn 71, and her dementia is pretty advanced. She is in a home, and my aunt and I are co-powers of attorney and are in charge of her care. And it's very difficult, but she's about, I would say, the level of a 5-year-old. She can't really tie her shoes. She struggles with basic motor skills like washing her hands and brushing her teeth. She can't really carry on a conversation. She can answer questions, but she never really asks any. So she's pretty far gone mentally. I really don't know how great her quality of life is, but when I think about it, it makes me very, very sad. There's a line in my favorite musical, Les Mis, and it's right when Eponine dies. And hope that wasn't a spoiler alert, but that show's been around a long time. Eponine dies. A lot of people die. Everybody dies, pretty much, right? But the line that Marius sings is that her life was cold and dark. And that line always kind of hits me sideways, because I think that that's how I would describe my mom's life. It's been cold and dark, and not a lot of light and beauty, and it just makes me really, really sad. Her mental state when I was younger, when I was a child, was she was a lot more capable. She was able to survive and do things. She was able to pay bills and go places and, things like that, and care for me. Not well, but like I said, I always ate and always had food, and so, she always cooked for me, and I always had clothes, but I'm not sure my care was awesome. I already discussed my beautiful haircuts, but I also had cavities in pretty much every baby tooth, because I'm fairly certain nobody made me brush my teeth. So that's one of the reasons I'm a little anal about my teeth now as an adult. But she was, at least a little bit more, coherent and able to do life when she was in her 20s. So anyway, she married Phil, and I imagine the abuse for me began right away. So tonight's video, it's already been 10 minutes long and I'm just getting started. It might be a little graphic, so I don't think I would share this with the family, but I endured 8 years, so from age 3 to 11, of pretty intense abuse from my stepfather. Physical abuse, sexual abuse. It was a really awful time. I'm not going to get too descriptive here, but it was something that no child should endure. I had to do some pretty awful things. And one of the things that I had to do every night that was torturous was I would have to rub my stepfather's feet every night for an hour each foot. Torture. And that has kind of stayed with me my entire adulthood. I don't do feet, so it's pretty awful. But I would be beaten pretty savagely, often with either his belt, which was often whenever I was bad, and sometimes it was just a 2x4. And as I told you, he was a manual laborer, so he was very strong, and I would have welts on the back of my legs, and I would wear pants in the summertime because I didn't want anybody to see them. And I don't ever remember being threatened. Like, I don't ever remember him, threatening me not to tell anybody. I think my silence for 8 years was because I so desperately wanted to be a good girl. As often as I was told I wasn't very cute, I was told that I was bad. And I was. I didn't have anybody model for me how to behave. And, I was just as my therapist says, you weren't bad, but, I was a mischievous, little girl. My grandma used to love to, tease me as I got older, that, we would take the city bus everywhere because my mom and grandma couldn't drive. And I would always pull on the thing in the bus, like the little dinghy to ring the bell to alert the bus driver that somebody needed off the bus. I would do it like every 5 minutes, which annoyed everybody right on the bus. And I would run up and down the aisles, and I got caught stealing. So I just, I did not very good girl things. So on some level, though, I wanted to be a good girl. And that meant, kind of keeping along with what was going on in my home and not tattling or not telling. Until one day, I'm going to jump a little ahead, in the 5th grade. We had moved by that time. We lived in a house. It was like a shoebox, but it was a house in Iowa, in Davenport, Iowa. And I had a really great friend, Missy, and Missy Miller. So if she's out there and happens to catch this, I haven't spoken to her since that one day in 5th grade when I admitted to her that some bad things were happening to me in my house. So the night before, we had watched this movie, and it was called Something About Amelia. And it starred Ted Danson. He was a dad. and he abused his daughter, and it was his real daughter. And I remember watching this with my stepdad and my mom. We were watching this on TV. And like my 11-year-old brain was like, are you kidding me are we really watching this? Like, this is like my life. It was so strange to me. And in the movie, if I remember correctly, her mom, rescues her and finally, ends this torture for her. I knew that was not going to happen in my house. My mom was never going to be able to do that for me. So I had to take action if I was going to escape this house of horrors. Something that has stayed with me as an adult that I'm really still working on is I spent those 8 years in constant fight or flight. So I'm a very edgy and intense adult, and my switch, my reaction time is always fight. I always go right to that. Even though I'm no longer in an environment where I have to, I am very safe now, right? But I spent my entire childhood not being safe and always being on edge. Always, any little noise would wake me up, because oftentimes my predator would wake me up in the middle of the night. So, something I'm working on. So the next day at school, I decided to tell my friend Missy that, hey, I watched this movie. That's happening to me. And she was like, oh, I don't believe you. And I'm not going to believe you unless you tell my mom. Well, I'd been over to Missy's house a million times, and I was like, yeah, I'll tell your mom. So went to her house and I told her mom everything, and it was very graphic. And, that's so embarrassing when you're a little girl, like to say the things that have happened to you that are sexual, especially. So she's like, you know what, you're going to spend the night with us. Do you think that'd be okay? And I'm like, oh yeah, of course, nobody cares. So I spent the night. I went to school the next day, and already we're at 17 minutes. So much for making this a short video. I went to school the next day, and I was called down to the office. And I walked in, and I didn't even think what it could possibly be. I walked in, and there was my principal. There was a social worker, and I feel like there was somebody else, maybe the school nurse, but I can't quite remember. And they started asking me all kinds of questions about what I had told Missy's mom. So, and very graphic questions that, of course, I had very detailed answers for. And that day, the social worker drove me to my house with a police escort to get some things, because I was not going to be staying in my house anymore. So I have a vivid memory of driving up to my house. And at the time, our house was up on a really high hill. So you had to walk up like, oh gosh, I don't even know, 20, 30 steps to get up to the front door from the street, from the sidewalk. And I remember kind of being frozen, and I said, I am not going in there. I'm not going in there. Can I please wait in the car? And shockingly, she let me wait in the car, which I can't really believe still to this day. And the social worker and the policeman, I watched them go up to the front door and knock on the door, and I saw my mom answer the door, and I saw her go back in and come back with a bag of my things. And it still is very torturous to think what that was like for my mom. I don't even like to think about it. I can't imagine. And I never set foot in that house again until 2009, when my stepfather passed away, and I had to go in there to get some things for my mom, because my mom would never step foot in that house again after he passed. So I owe a lot to Missy Miller's mom for saving me that day, for reporting what she'd heard to my school, and then my school took immediate action. And that night in March of 1984, I was taken to my very first foster home, which in tomorrow night's video, I'll tell you a little bit about, as well as how my hip is doing. So thanks for being here. This is a long one again tonight, so much for that. But I hope you have the time to spend with me and listen to my story. And I hope that it can maybe help someone else out there that hears it, and to be brave and to either save themselves or save a child that isn't powerful enough to save themselves. So again, thanks for being here with me tonight. And I so look forward to your comments and your questions and spending a little time with you. So thanks for being here with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.